Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. This is my show. Appreciate you being here as usual. First thing is first, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy what I do, please take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That is a huge help for me. Any shares that you do on your social media, anything like that, get the word out. It is much appreciated in advance. That's the best way to help someone like me. If you would like to do one step further, I've had some people reach out in the past and say, what could we do to help support you with what you're doing? And I am here to say right now, I am starting a Patreon. Okay, so I know that I've spoke ill about Patreon in the past, but I'm going to do it a little bit different, I think. I had a conversation with a couple of ladies who run Uncle Bob's Magic Cabinet, and they have a successful Patreon, and we spoke about it, and they were like, yo, why aren't you doing this? Because people want to support you. And I've had some people reach out and say the same thing, how can we support you? And this is the way. So if you go on Patreon, I'll Call You Right Back podcast, there is a tier there. It is a $5 tier. Okay. So this means if you subscribe to that, it will take out $5 a month. And that is a way to support the show. I am doing this first tier as just, an opportunity for you to just, support the show in good faith. You'll get a shout out on an intro, a good old thank yous. That's what I'm going to call them. You'll get a good thank yous on an intro. And, my eternal gratitude to you. But like I said, that's the first tier. That's just a way to show your appreciation. And then, the more people that subscribe to the Patreon, the more opportunity I will have to create different levels, to offer different things, different merch that is exclusive to that, different, movie events where I go rent out a movie theater. And I got some other ideas where I provide a quarterly project where I find local businesses and I work with them on something. I got some good ideas in the works. I'm not bullshitting you here, but I'm going to be on Patreon. I'll Call You Right Back podcast. You could search there. Anyone who wants to support the show, I appreciate you. I love you eternally. But the reason that everyone is here this week, the more important thing than Patreon and me asking you to subscribe to what I'm doing, the reason that everyone is here this week I sit down for a wild conversation. This week I sit down with Adam Milliron. So, have you ever wondered who takes all the photos for, bigger companies like Sheetz and, Nike and Primanti Brothers and, like these places that we all go. Like you go to Sheetz. How many times have you been to Sheetz? How many times have you walked into Sheetz? You see all the branding. You see the coffee cup with the foam hanging over the side. You see all the menus. You see all them photos. Someone got to take those. And me personally, I always that's something that I would never just even think about until I came across this man. Adam Milliron runs a commercial food photography and it's a whole, he has a whole operation that I was not ready for. Had him come over, we sat down and we talked about what he does. Companies will come to him and they will give him expectations. Like, we have this photo shoot and he in his studio with his small team of experts, they create this experience that is just efficient, clean, crisp, and refined. He's very good at what he does. His team is very good at what they do. If you look at his Instagram, Adam Milliron, scroll below, I'll tag it below. Click on that, see some of the photos, see some of the projects that he's done. And it's just, it's a different way to look at photography, like this branding photography. It's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to hear how, one of these shoots go and like what goes into that. And I'll be the first to say, like, I completely had it all wrong. Like my thoughts on how these things went couldn't have been more wrong. And I was pretty blown away by Adam's story. Like from the moment he got into being an entrepreneur at a young age, 13 years old, very successful, worked his way up in such an interesting way to get to where he is today, which is ultimately one of the biggest commercial food photography companies in the nation. He's killing it, honestly. That's plain and simple. He's killing it. You've seen all of his work. You've been to Primanti Brothers. You've seen his work. You've been to Sheetz. You've seen his work. You've seen it on Delalo's. You've seen it everywhere. But it's interesting to hear his story. So I'm going to quit talking about it. I'm going to let you listen to it. Without further ado, episode 240 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Adam Milliron.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast.
Was it NPR?
Yeah.
NPR did a little coverage of a shoot of ours that we were doing, kind of talking about food, and it wasn't very in depth.
Well, this is very low pressure, but that's cool that this is your first one. I'm excited. I always like people to come by and they're like, "Yeah, I never did anything like this," and hopefully this is a rewarding experience.
Hey, why not?
You seem like a pretty personable person. You're on Instagram, and I feel like I know you from that.
It's interesting that I think a lot of people do, and you don't realize until you're out and people come up to you and recognize you, know your dog's name, know your partner's name, your travels, and you don't realize how much people really notice.
Yeah, like retain from your life that you're posting online.
Which I guess we all do nowadays. You just, you don't know, maybe you don't think about it until it comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were at the Half-Ass Beer Share at Necromancer this weekend, and this dude came up to me and he was like, "You look familiar. You're the podcast guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's starting to happen a little bit more, where people have kind of caught on with the podcast and me, and it's cool to hear. But like you said, it's like people feel like they know you to an extent. It's like I've been just talking 3 hours a week for like 5 years, so I guess you could kind of relate to it over the years.
Yeah, you definitely, especially when I started, Instagram didn't exist.
Yeah.
So we took our photos, which is weird to think that they went nowhere within reason. A website or maybe Facebook, but there wasn't necessarily outside of a commercial need for advertising. It didn't go anywhere. So now Instagram has made that all, and back when I started, food photographers and food stylists weren't as known. If you were at kind of where we are and what we do, you were in a niche market that was so big but so tiny that no one knew you even existed.
For sure.
But, with now with social media and Instagram.
Yeah, it seemed like there was like a big boom in 2015 and 2016. Once people started really almost it wasn't just for kids. Social media wasn't just for kids, and it started bringing over all the adults and middle-aged people. And, there is a reason, because people want to be able to see things. But there was I remember seeing well-documented food photography, just being kind of worked into the everyday algorithm. And it's interesting to think about that, though, because before, because I was driving home and I was like, everyone that I talk to, there's kind of a saturation of people. There's a million podcasts, there's people that take photos of food, but it's when did that saturation really set in? It's interesting.
We made it look too cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
For the same reason I started shooting food. I think people oh, he has a cool life. You get to drink with chefs and eat food for free. And
yeah. All good
why
food.
shouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
And, now we're to the point that we don't even touch the food. We don't even eat it. We don't, maybe if we're shooting a restaurant, which is kind of more rare these days, but we don't eat the food. We don't touch it. So people in our building will say, "Oh, Primanti Brothers is in this week. We can't wait to eat the new sandwiches." And I'm like, well, you're going to be waiting for a while, because we might have all the ingredients, but we don't have time to cook the sandwiches for real.
Yeah.
So they're all just glued and stuck and whatever they need to be to look good for camera. Still the ingredients. So if you wanted to eat.
You really like glue stuff, like how you see in them like commercials.
I figured we'd start there.
Yeah,
I figured we'd start there.
that's cool because like I remember seeing like the behind the scenes of like a Domino's commercial where they like drill the pizza to like the cutting board and they like put like Elmer's to make a cheese pull.
Within that's changed a little bit. Those old school days were very. You did it a certain way. You used the glue. You did all those things. We still do 90% of that.
Could I ask how old you are?
I think 38.
38. Okay, yeah. So I had no idea. You look way younger than that.
That's called anti-aging clients.
But that kind of gives me an idea of like whenever you're saying like, when this kind of all started to work in.
It wasn't. Yeah. There was nothing. There was, I kind of started even food kind of when I started to shoot a lot of restaurants weren't shooting their food.
Yeah.
Menus didn't change ever. Maybe, you took a photo, a stock image off of whatever back in those days you used, or you didn't sell through that way. You sold through who you were or what you'd been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly changed where chefs had a whole, chefs were talking about food and talking about where food came from, and menus were changing monthly as opposed to every decade.
Yeah.
So I think that people wanted that more. And obviously as internet grew and social media grew, that gave more outlets for it.
Yeah.
Kind of as Instagram started to even get bigger, we kind of started to work, not on purpose, but kind of out of the more editorial side of food, more into the commercial where we kind of live in the realm we are now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny that it's gone so far, the whole industry, that now it's going backwards, that people want this candid, natural feel. They don't want to think they're being sold to, or they don't want to see a burger that's unobtainable, or they don't want to see something that's so perfect. That's kind of anti-advertising now.
Yeah.
So we've had to grow with that style to work.
Kind of blend it together.
Yeah, and make sure that we're giving our clients that consistency.
Yeah, that
speed,
sharpness, cleanness.
What they need.
But still look realistic.
And on brand, yeah.
That's interesting to hear about.
Oh, yes, we are those people that do those things to the food.
Now, before we even get too much into, what you're doing now, I kind of want to rewind a little bit. So you say you're 38. Are you from Pittsburgh?
Yep, outside of Pittsburgh, kind of Laurel Mountain kind of area.
Okay.
Greensburg, Latrobe, Ligonier area.
Yeah. Now, growing up, like what kind of things are you into?
So my parents divorced when I was young, which didn't really affect me at all. But, my parents wanted me to be busy and doing stuff. And I always wasn't, I was an outdoor kid. We were out in the country. We always had animals, horses, whatever, You
had horses growing up?
My mother loved horses.
Wow.
Which is, it's always, my birthday was just passed. And it's funny to think about the stories you hear from your family about when you're being born. And for some reason, everybody in the hospital was blown away that my father was going home to feed the horse. No idea why. Fast forward, I always had animals around, and I started to get into 4-H.
What's that? That's like
I should know this, shouldn't I? It's been too long. It's like it's kids that are. It's a group of kids get together. The county fairs are all 4-H. Yeah. There's FFA, which is.
Now, whenever I think about that, I think of like judging like cows or lambs and stuff like that.
Yeah, the county fair. Yeah,
so it's kind of an umbrella term, the 4-H.
You're in 4-H and you're in different clubs. You might go to the rabbit club. I was in the rabbit club, the aquarium club, the rock club.
My goodness!
And your poor parents have to run you all over Timbuktu to take you to these meetings weekly. And
wow,
you can be in the equestrian club, or you can be in the whatever you want to be. Then when the fair comes around, you then. Whatever you've been working on that time, you then bring to the fair and show it. And
wow.
Which is kind of how this all started in a way, I guess. I was kind of thinking about it in the shower before this, that where did it start and why? And I think, so I had goats. I ended up going through rabbits and chickens and all kind of stuff. And I ended up at goats. And I'm a bit of a competitive person.
Yeah.
So, I had my goats and I bought some local goats and raised them. But, the internet was very young.
Yeah. How old are you at this time?
13.
Okay.
Internet was really young, and you could go online and look at, $1 million horses if you wanted to, or $1 million cow, or you could see the best animals thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to improve on my goats. So I flew to California and bought from the top herds. I went to different places, explored breeding and what I liked and all that. Took judging tests and all that kind of stuff to know more. So I told my parents, we had some very nice animals that were doing really well.
So this wasn't just like a hobby for you. This was like your focus as a 13-year-old.
Yeah. I think I've always turned kind of every hobby into something.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know that I have a difference between a hobby and life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything kind of is.
That's fair. Well, there's some people that are like, yeah, I'll get a goat for my property. But then there's some people that are like, I'm going to fly to California and study the lineage of this bloodline.
Yeah. And I did that. I followed down the rabbit hole I went, and, we started breeding really well, and I had some really beautiful goats that I wanted to show. So I told my parents I wanted a website, and I think it was, $400.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Go back to the barn or go back to your bedroom. Like, they didn't even know what a website was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'll go to Barnes & Noble and I'll buy a book to learn how to program websites. So the fast forward story is I learned how to program websites. I did my goat website. I have no idea where it came from, but at 14, I had some form of taste, design.
Yeah.
I made my logo. I did backgrounds and buttons and programmed hard-coded.
Where does this all come from? Like your parents, they don't sound like that they're people that are out there being entrepreneurial in that way.
No, definitely. And, not that they didn't encourage it, but they definitely were not the people who said, go learn how to build a website.
Yeah, for sure.
My parents never had any, maybe they did, and they never told me. They didn't have the expectation of, like, you're going to grow up and be a doctor and go to med school and this, or you're going to be a lawyer. That never was a part of my life. And I don't know, maybe because I was so busy doing so much.
Yeah.
They didn't have to tell me what to do.
Yeah, they didn't worry about you being like a bum, just sitting around. You were just like, you sounded like a busybody.
Always, yeah. And my parents were workaholics. So I think that kind of helps.
What did they do?
So my mother worked in dry cleaning for 30 years.
Okay.
Massive company, ran every part of the business. So I saw that throughout the years. Funny enough, Edgar Snyder used to be one of her customers. It was a huge company, and I watched all parts of it. Then as I kind of grew up, I would work in a store here and there, or I programmed, 50 dry cleaning machines because I was the youngest one.
Yeah.
That anyone in the company knew that could go and program dry cleaning machines.
Yeah, your mind is malleable at that point to like learn how to do that.
So I programmed every press and every, steam cabinet for shirts, and I did all that. So through this time, I'm building my website company. I did my goat website, did other friends' goat websites, became like a little side hustle. I mean, middle school, high school, I hated school anyways.
What was your goat company name?
Pineway.
Pineway?
Yep. And I raised a breed called La Manchas, which is a little breed that has tiny little ears.
Huh.
I don't know how much you've talked to Will Lovner about his goats.
I know, but it kind of stops from like, I got some goats, they're cute.
Yeah. So, Will has dairy goats.
Yeah.
Much like I did.
So your goats were dairy goats?
Dairy goats,
okay.
Yes. On the other side of that is South African meat goats, and there's feeding goats, pygmy goats.
Now, were you just raising these animals, or were you harvesting them at all?
No, so on the dairy side, you don't necessarily eat them.
Yeah.
Unless they're,
Oh, yeah, you just said they're dairy goats.
Yeah. So, the babies, sometimes Greek, people with Greek background will cook them, and they'll ask you. We never sold ours for that reason.
Yeah.
And we ended up probably having about, 75, 80 at one point. And so website's doing really good, and I kind of worked my way up through that industry. At some point, I had met a soap maker who I kind of fell in love with that design and that branding and that whole soap. It was, Whole Foods wasn't really even anything yet.
Yeah.
Craft soaps were big. Not everybody makes craft soaps, but it was huge, and they were beautiful, and they were made out in the country. So I did photographs out in the wildflowers. And
Are you taking photos at this time?
Slowly. For photos to feed kind of my website.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You just became someone, you're self-sustaining. You're just trying to do everything yourself, learn it all yourself. So you need photos, you need visual.
Not on purpose. It was more just, I know what I want.
Yeah.
I tell my client, go out to the wildflowers, hold the soap in your hand, take a picture with the sun to your left, and it'll come back and it'll be all screwed up. And
yeah, so you got to do it yourself.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that kind of soap, that whole craft experience around that boutique product in a way. So kind of grew up through there, and then at that time, I was still working kind of in the animal side of design, and alpacas were getting very big. they had become very large tax shelters for people who had needed a large tax shelter. You could buy a cute farm for your wife and kids to go have a beautiful little alpacas on. And they were selling for quite a bit of money, and they were getting bigger and bigger. So we ended up doing some work for some really high-selling alpacas. Those people, moved through that industry. Those people also had companies that then needed websites. It kind of naturally grew very easily just through connections.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many years. I'm not really bad. I'm very bad at kind of that time span.
In this time span, you said, I heard you say, I didn't really care about school, hated school or whatever.
Hated it, yep.
But what, was this like a reality that you were going to try to shift this all this side hustle to a career? Or did you have something in high school that you were like thinking that you were going to do as a career?
I think by this point I knew this was the career. I didn't know, hell, I don't know if I still do. I don't know if I know where it's still going.
Yeah.
And thinking of coming here, I thought about that I'm so lucky that every single stepping stone in high school, out of high school, I worked for a photography lab where I learned how to develop and every kind of film and print photos. I learned color balancing. I did.
Why are you doing this? Is it because you enjoy photography? Like, when does that
So websites, I get burnt out. 2 girls worked with me, ended up kind of buying me out and taking the company with the clients. And I kind of started an embroidery company, like, commercial shirt embroidery.
My goodness.
Did that for a little bit. Through this, I ended up it wasn't quite paying the bills yet. It did if I really worked hard, but I ended up having a job at a photo lab that did weddings. And this is film days still. Digital was very new.
Yeah, because how old are you at this time? Like 18, 19?
Yep. Yeah. And maybe some of the wedding shooters shot digital, but it was very controversial. If the digital wedding shooter came in next to the film shooter, they kind of gave each other a scowl and they were weird, Yeah. It was very early days. One of our clients, and it's weird, as my boss was a ex-pro football player who had inherited the business in a business deal of some sort. And, he would stand behind me, and I thank him now. Scared the shit out of me then. He'd stand behind me and watch me color correct photos. And that time, you would scan the film into the drum scanner. It'd come up on the screen. You'd have 6 frames in front of you. If you were lucky, the shooter shot it right. If you were lucky, and not lucky, as it was most days, they were all screwed up. And you had to find something to color balance off of.
Yeah.
A white dress, a red bucket, things you knew were colors. You had to balance the color to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if it's a white dress, you have something to go off of.
Yeah, that was,
to some extent.
Looking back now, yes, but that was right but wrong. Right to get to the dress where the skin probably is better.
Yeah.
But nowadays we know that, you can light things and have it moody. You can have it warm. You can have it yellow. You can have it colder. In those days, you just wanted that perfect white out the door. So I did that for a while and learned everything. I had a small studio. The owner of the building had given me a small little studio next door to the lab. I would stay late and process my film and shoot all kind of crazy things. Still shooting, but I guess I knew that it was, it's weird that you asked me that. I don't know at what point.
Yeah, like where it turned from like a job
to do this.
Yeah.
Because in my head, it always still is. It's blurry.
Yeah.
I still do a little bit of brand consulting for design, a little bit of interior consulting, but it's still all kind of very.
Whenever you're in that studio and you're doing this like color correcting, and you said after you had your own little studio, it's like, what are you shooting at that time whenever you first had a studio?
So I was shooting models. I would shoot very high fashion stuff.
Okay.
Weird stuff, whatever I could find,
Yeah.
Around that area, which is, very, you're not going to exactly find a high fashion model to shoot this Vogue looking cover, but you might, you can with makeup artists, you can, make it get there. So eventually, as I kept on growing, the studios got bigger. It just kept on kind of organically growing.
Yeah.
So at one point, I ended up working, and here in the city, there was a magazine called World Magazine. And they had at one point, they had about 4 or 5 different magazines. And I was still kind of bopping, freelancing. I'd worked some different things. So World needed someone to fill in kind of as a full-time person.
Yeah.
So I filled in, and and that's kind of probably when social media was just starting to get a little bigger.
Yeah. What year is this? When you worked with them? Like, how old are you?
Probably
around?
20. I was probably 23, 24.
23, 24. So 2007, 2008.
Sounds right. Maybe.
Yeah. But like that's interesting to think about that, because like you said, it's not really like, kind of bustling yet, cause I remember like the first time I had Twitter was right around like 2007.
Yep.
And it was such like a weird, like, I remember I was at my buddy's cabin signing up for Twitter, and they were trying to explain to me what it is. And now it's just so crazy to think about where it all kind of became, like adults having, Instagram. I guess we're adults now, but
within reason. You're right. I do remember posting to Twitter my work, and, as this kind of, so, at Whirl, I still have probably, my other clients, 10 or 15 other clients, but I might go to 5 restaurants a day and shoot. And then at the end of the night, I would throw on some nicer clothes and go shoot black tie events all night. So that kind of it made me people knew me because they needed to know me. Mm-hmm. They wanted to be in the magazine.
Yeah.
Everybody at that point, and I had just thought about this. Everybody needed something from me.
Yeah.
They wanted a good photo from the magazine. So they wanted me to be happy. They wanted me to have a drink. They wanted to know me and say, Adam, take my picture. Or,
you're the guy. You gotta grease the wheels.
They thought I was the gatekeeper, which I was definitely not. But, so, that kind of grew. And as the magazines grew, I met, obviously at that point, there was probably even more restaurants than there are now in the city, maybe. A lot of restaurant owners, and they knew that things were changing. They were probably at this point on their second or third website. They were ready to start social media coming up. They were ready to start doing more. And around that time, I think I met Justin Severino.
Yeah.
Who at the time was working at Elements, which I can't remember what it is now. It's downtown. It's kind of that glass building down where the old McDonald's is, the one that is closed.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
There. So, and that was probably one of my first chefs that was really cared about, looked over my shoulder to watch what I was doing, wanted to know what was happening, which made me care more also. So, I met him. We did some great photos from probably for Whirl at the time and maybe some more. So Justin was at Elements. I was, shooting some clients. And around that time, I moved to Lawrenceville, right across from Pooh City's Garden. And he looked at the space on the corner, which was an old cafe restaurant. I don't know what Cure was. It was beat up, horrible thing. So we kind of, and around that time, I had left the magazines, and I had some more time. So we start shooting just stuff. As he's opening, it had nowhere to go, had no reason. We've always joked about a book one day, but we just shot everything. Ingredients, farmers coming into the restaurant, the events, chefs coming in to visit him, So probably around that time, a friend of mine who was a kind of strip district legend kind of knew the span of the work I did and asked me if I knew these two designing, these beautiful ladies that were in the strip district, Slovakian ladies who came to Pittsburgh and were designing all the paint stuff for PPG, which many agencies did. They were kind of the ones doing the paint departments in the stores and stuff. So, I said, I never went to college. I can't hold up next to big designers or anything, but hey, I'll go talk to them. So I went and talked to them, and they were in the middle of a meeting, and they said, here's an iMac with a bunch of random graphics. This is going into, think of this as going into Sherwin-Williams store as a backlit LED sign. I'm like, okay. And then they were busy with the client in the conference room, so I kind of just went over and spent a half hour, designed up this thing, and waved at them and left. So got a call back, next day. I think I started that week.
Wow.
And I was a junior designer. So it was a very small team. They were just incredible ladies that will be forever my friends. But they kind of raised me and groomed me up a little bit. I had not really at this point had a very serious job. Like I didn't have anywhere I had to dress up to go into besides going to events or,
Yeah.
So I kind of cut back on photography and started working in paint. And, going back to my boss, color was my thing. I could sit there and tell you, this shade is 1 degree too blue and that's 1 degree too hot, very easily. It came naturally to me. So kind of as the company grew and things changed, my position kind of went up and up, and we ended up running all the photo shoots. So we'd fly down to the Carolinas and run all the big photo shoots and this 1 million square foot warehouse, that's the studios. And we'd build, here's this kitchen. And for 6 months, we'd work on designing the kitchen, the living room, every spot in the brochures, the paint brochures, the paint departments, everything.
Wow.
So we produced every inch of it. The shape of the chip. No, we did not name the colors. Everybody asked that. That was a really awesome part of my life to grow into this kind of. I grew up a little bit.
Yeah,
I learned what clients were.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, you say that you did you designed this like lighting board that they were going to put up just real quick like this. Like, growing up, were you artistic? Did you paint? Did you draw? Or did you just kind of did that come with like building websites and everything?
It came with websites. I always had a camera.
Yeah.
I always, even on vacations in summer on the beach, I always had a camera. I didn't know until, I didn't look back until years ago and go, oh, holy shit. Like, I have had a camera in my hand my entire life.
Yeah.
I've just used it in different ways. I've put it down for a while. It's come back. But I never knew. And I think at one point I had a ex that was like, oh, this whole food photography thing. He was at CMU, he's like, oh, what is this? What are you talking about? So he went and, in a very CMU kind of way, did a whole research into food photography and came back, a day later with very big eyes and said, okay, you can do this.
Yeah.
He had looked at, salaries of in those days.
Yeah, to see it was like really catching on.
Yeah. So he was like, you can do this, I probably didn't take him seriously, but so it just kept on growing into different things. So, I did about, 6 paint departments. Some of it's still out in the wild. You can find it here and there, Lowe's or Home Depot, or they're still around. And the company had moved a couple times. The owner had a son, and she had moved, wanted to be closer to her son, so the office moved, and it went through changes throughout the years. And then the company was bought out by a former client, and the client wanted to take it back to the original different team and different. And at that time, I was probably I was probably getting the itch to do some more. So I got a little severance package, and I had my apartment in Lawrenceville. I had the downstairs was just sitting there empty for 10 years. So I called my landlord and I said, what would you want for this space? I think at the time it was $250.
Wow.
Something crazy that I should have kept it for eternity.
Yeah.
So I renovated it myself. I traded a client to come help me do wiring I couldn't do, polish the floors. And it was just a storefront. It's actually called Pie Bird now.
Oh, okay.
It's been Pigeon Bagel, or not Pigeon, little bagel shop throughout the years. It's different things.
I know exactly where that is, though.
Mm-hmm. That was my first studio, and we shot tons of work there. And it helped having Justin down the street. We would throw dinner parties, and Cure would, sadly for them, would run food down the street to our.
Wow.
Just fun things that I was learning to kind of. You started getting some more clients and some residual clients, monthly retainer clients, and it got a little more serious. I started having a full-time assistant. I started
because you're focusing on food at this time, right?
Yeah, and it was food. This is kind of when it really started to get big. Cure had just kind of got big. Salt of the Earth was going at that time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what year is this? Do you remember it like around 13?
About 13 years ago.
Okay.
So we just talked to Hillary Severino 13 years ago.
Okay, so like 2010 year around.
Yep.
Okay, so that's interesting to think about because now my next question is, at this time, was there any other type of food photographers out there? Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe I just wasn't.
And there was, and like I said earlier, there was kind of the people that did the things you didn't know about.
Yeah.
There was 3 or 4. I use the word old shooters because to me, I was very young at that time, and they had been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah,
they were the old shooters that shot the Heinz ketchup stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Tuna and all those kind of things that, I don't know that I knew I wanted those clients, but I did know that some of them weren't doing a great job with it.
And you saw what you could do better?
I could do better, yeah.
Yeah.
I had worked in a commercial studio some point in there. I worked in a commercial studio. I knew how to do production. So, kind of came together that I could offer something that others were offering, but maybe I was just, at the time I had the energy. I was young. I wanted to have a drink with the chefs and hang out with them. And
yeah. So
I just started doing a lot of restaurants. And then Justin Severino and I started traveling all over the country shooting dinners. It's called Outstanding in the Field. And we shot dinners on a rooftop in New York, in the Hamptons, on islands off the coast of California.
This is just like a thing where they do dinners throughout the...
Yep. So this is a very famous company. They've done the White House. They've done all kind of
that's cool.
crazy things. Now they're very big now, and they've been in all Bon Appetit and Food and Wine and all that kind of stuff. So they do very big events in remote locations. And they're generally known to have one long white table.
Okay.
All white tablecloths.
Looks like Midsommar.
Just
kidding.
It's a little like Dîner en Blanc minus, they bring you to bring your food. They provide the food for you.
How many people are these events?
So some are maybe 50, 60. Some are 150.
Yeah, that's cool. So you guys would go and fly around and just go and check these places out and take photos?
And Justin, the whole team would go. He was doing the food.
Yeah.
He was doing all the food.
Wait, he was the one running this food?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So he would do, and he'd been friends with them for a long time, back when the movement started in California, and they kind of grew up together. So they might say, well, we want to work with a local chef, or maybe we bring Justin in for something completely different.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he had done so many of them that he knew them so well that he could turn them out just super easy, which a lot of chefs didn't. It sounds beautiful and lovely.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Dinner for 150 on the beach, but it's a lot of infrastructure and things. And at that time, I think one of them we moved, all the chairs, tables, and everything on ferries across the bay over to Santa Cruz or Catalina Island, and
my goodness.
So I ended up working. I was the photographer, but I ran dishes. Whatever it took, I was just another part of the team. To be there and help.
That's pretty wild.
It gave me that run and gun experience. So like I said, every kind of part of these little stepping stones I've had have given me little parts that have led up to where we are now.
Yeah. I like that every time you've described it, you say we. You've never once said I am. You said where we are.
Yeah, it's not just me.
I know, but that's, it's cool that that's a small thing that I noticed immediately, but it's interesting to hear that. It's cool.
It takes a village, and it really, maybe some days I'm the cruise director, some days my assistant is the cruise director. It does take us to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take either. Everybody has to have the passion.
Yeah.
If it was a job, it would suck.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have to have the passion. And like I said, all these little pieces, even the people who work with me now, have all fallen into place in a really organic way that has helped lead.
Yeah, where you're going now. Now, for you guys to travel around and do this, and you did this for a little while, you said.
Years, yep.
Now, when does it go from you being almost like kind of working for someone else to kind of shifting your focus into doing your own business?
Well, the difference was really, I've worked for myself for a long time.
Yeah.
The difference is kind of how the bills are paid.
Yeah.
At that point, if you depend on, restaurants are tough. They have a tough business. And if you're depending on that, shooting 30 restaurants a month to pay your bills, you're running your ass off, And so I think it became the point that I noticed how hard I was working, but yet, you still don't have the cash flow. You still don't, you're covering things because this client didn't pay, or this client didn't pay for 70 or 80 days.
Yeah, you're trying to find comfort now.
So and as you get older, as you evaluate things a little differently. The partying isn't as much fun without the money to pay the bills. You know? So at some point, it definitely, and I think this is a good thing to even think about now as we even work on this, how to keep on. I still photograph a lot of artists to work, and I trade them art for the photographs.
Yeah.
And the same with restaurants. I was thinking about how to offer what we do. Sometimes we're not right for restaurants these days. You know, sometimes they need a very candid, almost iPhone-y picture.
Yeah.
Which is all they need. Interlaced sometimes with our photos, who knows? So I think it's, we've learned how to help people we can. I think that's something we're still working on, is how to keep on doing more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In our style, but to also represent. And it's also something, thinking about restaurants or, we shoot several pizza chains. We do Fox's Pizza, Vocelli Pizza, Primanti Brothers Pizza.
Yeah.
And, none of them, we shoot them with the same cameras, the same lenses, the same computers, the same lighting, but none of them can look the same. They have to all be, even if they come in side by side, day after day, each one has to look like that brand.
Yeah, an individual.
So I think restaurants help me with that. They help me learn that.
Oh, that's so interesting to think about that. Because I know you work with Sheetz, you work with all these different people that you're basically photographing the same types of foods over and over,
Yep.
but you don't want to just replicate it and give them the same photos where you can't really tell a difference. That's such an interesting thing to think about. And for you to travel to all these different places and all these different restaurants, that kind of is, you're earning your stripes that way, because that's, you're getting thrown in different situations, and that's pretty cool to kind of hear how that experience was applied later in life.
Yeah, and I think it keeps on applying. I think it covers even going out to eat in restaurants and knowing how to order, when to order. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
Being in restaurants, I worked in restaurants for a long time. You learn a lot about life. I think someone said that everybody in the world should work for a restaurant or in a restaurant at some point, and they definitely should, to learn those two different sides of what's happening there. The table is there to enjoy their time, and the person is there to do their job.
Yeah.
You learn a lot from that engagement, interaction.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, you said, at this point in life, you're trying to find that level of comfortability. When does that kind of come into play?
I don't know what it was, but something in the universe sent us some major clients, and within 2 weeks, I think we got Coca Cola and Nike in the same week.
Now, at this point, whenever you say they sent you a client, what does that necessarily mean? They approach you and they're like, so Coca Cola, do they send you one release of something?
Oh, God.
How does that happen?
No. So the work we do, we don't necessarily, we do work on releases now, but it's generally kind of the corporate stuff. The head's it's going to live around for a while.
Yeah.
Where now, people will send things to a blogger to release it. Ours is the material behind that.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense too.
Coca-Cola called us directly.
And how do they get a hold of you? Where is your stuff?
The phone rang.
But where's your stuff at that people are seeing, your name?
No idea.
That's so interesting.
We've never advertised. Not once.
And I mean, at this point, do you have people working for you at this point?
Yeah, we had a small team. I was moving into my current studio at this point. We'd been through about a year of renovations. And I remember that we literally, I was standing there watching the painters as the cases of product were rolling in.
Oh, wow.
And we had a small team. We had one or two assistants, food stylist. Had no idea what the hell we were doing. But,
yeah.
When Coke calls, and we went through it was a very lengthy legal process to even lock down the client.
What with what stuff? What do they even?
God. Well, it's, because Coke and Pepsi and all these giant companies are so competitive, they don't want anybody crossing over.
Oh, so non-competes, all that stuff.
Yeah, so we had probably about a 30-page non-compete.
Wow.
I had
guess I would have never thought about that.
Yeah, and nowadays people don't do it as much anymore, but we do get NDAs quite often. If a client will email about something and say, hey, we're going to market with something.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it till you send us NDA. You can't release it. You can't post it.
Wow.
A lot of our work is that way, which kind of sucks for me because we work all these hours, and you're like, oh, I want to go post a picture on Instagram. Well, I can't.
Yeah.
All the work I've done for the last 2 months is under NDA and can't be released for another 30 days,
Wow.
So that's kind of weird that we have to dig up some things occasionally. And
so Coca-Cola went through this big lengthy thing and they sent you all this product. What was the product they sent you?
So I did all the work for Honest Tea.
Oh, wow.
We did everything you saw for Honest Tea, which is funny. That has haunted me It's everywhere. It is. They have closed the brand now.
I feel like I remember seeing it in front of like movie previews.
Giant printouts.
Yeah.
And it was just, and we spent days putting drops of glycerin on because they had very specific spots where they wanted to do, the logo had to have a certain percent of dots on it, which we still deal with this till this day.
Oh, wow.
All the time.
That's something that I would have never thought about. So whenever someone like a big company approaches you like that, are they like
to the inch?
Oh, so you don't have a lot of creative freedom. They know that you're good at what you do and they tell you what to do and you do it the correct way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
They do now.
You're telling me they'll tell you how many drops of dew on a label?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And it gets down to
the angle of the label and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, that's fascinating.
So they shipped cases, and we get a case that had no label, and then we get a sealed, locked, overnighted letter with the labels in it that we could put our own on and rearrange them. And
my goodness,
at this level, I guess now it is down to the.
I guess why wouldn't it be, right? These people are paying money and they have a expectation and
well, it's also liability.
Yeah,
like if a sandwich comes with French fries on it, it has to be 16 ounces of French fries, not 24 ounces of French fries.
Yeah, it can't look like something that it's not going to be.
Pizza. We count pepperoni constantly.
So wait, now this is gonna jump around a little bit because you said you did Primanti's pizza, one of my favorites, honestly. People don't understand that. People don't know that Primanti's got a great pizza. I'll sing it from the rooftops, but these people will tell you, I guess they wouldn't send you a cooked pizza. So you're cooking these pizzas?
So the studio,
jumping
ahead, the studio. And I know at the end we'll talk about kind of where we're going to go.
I'm moving this up. You can get comfortable, but I'm going to move this to where you are.
So the studio we're essentially a restaurant that serves nothing. We have a full commercial kitchen. We handle thousands of pounds of food a month coming in, going out. And we have back-to-back clients. So maybe Sheetz has sent us 30 cases of fried food. Well, that has to now leave and be the hell out of the studio by Wednesday afternoon because Primanti Brothers is coming in with their product. So all the freezers have to be emptied out, donated to food banks. We donate to 412 Food Rescue, all the... Now,
I have to interrupt you and, I have to learn more about this. So obviously you talked about Coke. That's a different thing. That's just, containers of liquids that you're doing different things. But if you have food and you're making these, I'm curious, are you a cook? Do you cook?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
I love cooking.
So you can run around in a kitchen good. Now,
they don't want me there.
Yeah,
they don't want me there. They tell me to go the hell away.
But you know how to make a pizza if you need to. Because my question is, who's making this shit and how are they instructing you? Cook it this way, this long.
My little cohort who you see with me on Instagram,
Anna the Unanswered Chef.
Anna Kelly is
Anna. Sorry,
she's been with me. I don't know now about 8 years. Probably been friends about 12 years. She runs the kitchen. She's one of the lead top food stylists in the country. She's done the work for Olive Garden and crazy things you see, Burger King.
Wow.
She's the master behind it. And, when we first started working together, it was definitely learning how both of us it's two people. I have my lighting to do. I have my framing to do. I need to talk to the client about how blurry the background is or how close the sandwich is to you. And she has to talk to the client about, is it 4 pieces of cheese? Is it 1 piece of cheese?
My goodness.
So they're called builds. So it's called to start off with, it's called a deck. So we receive a deck from clients. These come in huge PDFs and the deck spells out everything. What our shots are, that we organize the kind of the movement of the shoot.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, okay, we need 30 shots of pizzas overhead. Then we have 30 shots of pizzas at 3/4 with and without sides. Then we have to shoot 20 sides, at 3/4 and overhead because now you have touchscreen. You have
so this is a guide of everything written out of your checklist, basically.
Well, then that's a very basic. So now the decks are. I should have brought one to show you. They detail out everything: lighting, styling, surfaces, backgrounds, props, models' names, call times.
My goodness.
It's everything. And then in that is called build sheets.
I don't know why, I don't know why it's blowing my mind now. And I didn't even like think about this. I was like, oh, they're just sending him a box of shit. He's making it and just doing what he does.
So the clients don't actually even touch the food.
Yeah.
So they don't, it doesn't even come in the door with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes, maybe,
it makes sense.
They'll
though.
bring buns or something.
Yeah.
But we have, by the time the client walks in, we've already picked it up, sorted it, organized the shot list.
Read over the decks, read all that.
The sets are built, so we just did Sheetz this past week. We had 5 different sets, and we got a deck on Wednesday. And by Monday morning, we had built a cafe, a starry night, a summer day by the beach, and a sunny day. I can't see what it is, but a beautiful sunny day with a blue sky.
So that now that picture of those people sitting there, that's something that Ian's building there.
Yep. Yeah, it didn't exist the day before.
Now, who's building these things? And whenever you now, whenever you say like, the customer hires you to do this, do you like, how big is your team now? The customer, like Sheetz won't send in a contractor to like build anything. This is you guys?
I guess if we asked them, I guess they could, but they're too busy.
Yeah.
They don't have time for that.
That makes sense. But that's literally what I thought it would be. I would think like, oh, Sheetz is going to hit you up and be like, yo, we're going to send some people in here. They're going to build exactly that. You're responsible for the food. Oh, I love that. It's so much more fascinating to hear.
Nobody has time.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of part of our success is that we know that nobody has time.
Yeah.
And that we take that off their plates.
Yeah.
You tell us what you want, and literally within 4 days it built.
Wow.
Including we're wiring lighting and painting walls or making backdrops or building sets or building a kitchen. We did all the work for Premier Protein for Amazon, and we built 6 sets. We built a full kitchen in the studio.
My goodness.
That is their background for Premier Protein.
So Sheetz is how long? How long did that take you to do?
It came in on Wednesday. The second the deck comes in, we are literally on Amazon.
Yeah.
We are on every website ordering 10 options for everything we need.
Wow.
So if they want cake stands, we have, by the time we get there, the deck, we know how big the cake stand is, we know the materials.
Yeah.
But you still will have 5 different kinds of cake stands lined up there in case the creative director wants to change vision or.
Now, while this is happening and you're shooting, someone from Sheetz is there?
Yeah, they bring a large team.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
Because we work with them and a lot of clients, we work with different divisions, so they have a print division, which is all the things you see in the parking lot signs, a digital division, which is all the things you see on the TV screens inside, a social team. So we'll work with those different teams differently.
Yeah, for different reasons. Oh, that's fascinating too.
So the same with Primanti Brothers, we do their menus, the table tents, the point of sale stuff, all the Instagram stuff. In between, a lot of these companies will have like a social media team or something that goes in and does some extra stuff.
Yeah.
They might have that in-house, or it depends on how big they are, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Now you get done with this shoot with everything for Sheetz. What does happen to all the food?
It is very quickly evacuated.
What does that mean? You guys toss it?
It's in the trash. Yeah, we, in the studio, because we are a quick moving, fast paced studio, it is, but by the time, and we usually we try to wrap around 3:30, 4 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, the studio looks like
brand new.
Nothing existed.
Do you guys, will you guys eat whatever you want though?
Clearly looking at me, I do, but it's more like we run over and pick at something.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Run over and grab a fried pickle.
Yeah. People aren't just I'm going to take 2 of these sandwiches home and run away.
Well, the sandwiches don't exist.
Yeah.
Because you're not in a store.
Oh yeah. Good point.
You didn't push an order button for 5 sandwiches and 5 sandwiches show up.
Yeah.
There's one.
Oh, good
And that
point.
sandwich is the hero. It has glue. It has toothpicks. It has whatever it takes.
My goodness.
It's not like we make 10 Primanti Brothers sandwiches and the prettiest one we take at the set.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
I don't know why. I feel like people that don't know anything about this, I feel like in my mind, that's what I imagine.
They do think that we kind of go and the store sends us things. I'm like, if you saw what but a lot of our clients have gotten a lot better, actually. The photos we make are not too far from what the store is doing. And all of our clients have a corporate executive chef or someone who has a final say that this crust, some clients like the crust to fall. Some clients like bubbles in the crust. Some are no clients. Or no bubbles. Some want the pepperoni that curls. Some want flat.
Wow.
And within all of these clients what those different specs are.
So you're making this food, and obviously the people are there. Their team is there, so they'll come over, inspect it, say this will be good. We need this, redone, make it look like this. Wow. Now let me ask you this. I know you worked with Sarris.
We love them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love them?
You had Athena on.
I did have
my
Athena
lady,
on.
she's amazing.
She's amazing. And who doesn't love them? They're stone's throw away. We go there all the time. But now they give you all this stuff.
Oh, boy.
What happens to it?
Boy.
Is that
people hate to see us, So in our building, we have Kate Romaine, who has black radish, incredible across the hall.
Yeah.
We have Pigeon Bagel down the hall.
Pigeon Bagel I thought it was in Squirrel Hill.
They have a commissary kitchen, actually, over in the old Millie's space down the hall from us.
That makes sense.
A bunch of coffee roasters. And like I said, because of space, we have about 4,000 square foot now. But because of space, it has to go.
Yeah.
So Sarris, we did, they own Sarris Candies also, their sister company.
Oh, yeah. Good peanut butter meltways.
Controversial, yeah. There's the Sarris is different than Gardner's.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Very controversial. Actually, the crunchy peanut butter, I think it's Gardner's has those. It's delicious. That's what I'll sneak over. So to answer your story, we ended up, they can't take it back because once it's been open touched.
Yeah, obviously.
They might take small back. They do some in-house photography. They'll take some back for, but it can't go to a store. It can't go anywhere.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
So I think Jen, who was my assistant, spent probably a week. She loves to do this, organize. A week organizing 8 racks of chocolate into like a store.
Oh my goodness.
8 big, the size of this table.
Yeah.
I think we're down to 1. But everybody left with parting gifts.
Wow.
Please, go shopping.
Yeah.
We had Thanksgiving for my family at the studio for about 20 people. And I took them over, and they know my job, and they know that I have perks, but they're not necessarily there to get the perks.
Yeah, but they see a rack of Sarris. They're like, you're telling me I could have some pretzels.
It was cute. They went over and took one thing or take one thing. I'm like, no, really. Here's a milk crate.
Yeah.
You need to take. And it's the same with, we do a lot of ice cream.
Yeah.
So we go through, probably, 300 or 400 gallons of ice cream a year.
My goodness.
And we love it. But
yeah, but there's only so much freezer space.
Because the next, jobs are coming in. So we, give away. We love Brewster's. We give tons of Brewster's ice cream away.
Yeah.
Same with our friends Delalo Foods, who provided our charcuterie board here.
Oh yeah.
People love us and hate us probably. I would leave. During COVID, I would leave bags. And
that would make sense.
My neighbor's door,
got to get rid of it, right?
Friends' doors, just leave giant bags.
Can't let it go to waste.
Well, here's 30 pounds of pasta we made today that we're so tired of pasta we don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
But here's all these amazing pastas that are done and ready to go.
Who was your first big client that you were like, wow, this is crazy?
I don't know if it was crazy, but growing up with Sarris, Athena was a supporter of me really early on. And I think she has such a beautiful vision and a clean vision. I think that she saw that her and I could do things together for the company and give it a little fresher look.
Yeah.
And they were awesome. Growing up, I sold Sarris Candies as fundraiser.
Who hasn't sold a Sarris chocolate pretzel for
sure.
a fundraiser?
That was probably the first one. After that, Coke was, cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nike's cool. Those are fun things that you don't necessarily think you're going to do in your life, but you're so wrapped up at that point, you don't even stop to think about how cool it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's cool to be able to, kind of stop and look at it and think about that.
It's weird to look back now of, we have a lot of clients that I've been with for 13, 10 years that how they've changed, how we've changed, how what we do has changed.
How you've helped them change.
We do. We really enjoy that. That's actually part of the best part is that people now, you asked earlier, do they just come and tell us? Yes. But they tell us the information that we need to do our job.
Yeah.
They don't tell us how to do our job. They don't tell us, they might give us a result they were looking for.
Yeah.
But we're kind of that, the word isn't special sauce, but we're that extra little 20% that comes in and makes it.
Yeah.
And it might be something as dumb as, knowing this photo is going to go to social media. So let's shoot an extra 20 frames of leaves moving in the background so we can get some cool animation. Or
What kind of camera you shoot with?
we shoot Canon, I don't know, the Mark something, whatever the bigger ones are. Mark 4 or 5s, I don't know.
I was just curious what kind of brand, because,
we do. I've been Canon for years. We are switching to a medium format.
What's that mean?
So it's a medium format. Back in the days was the big, huge cameras you saw. Better quality, bigger lenses, bigger backs. They were about 150 megapixel.
Yeah.
100 megapixel.
Something light.
But with that comes, it's about $1,000 per megapixel for the camera.
Yeah, I bet.
So when you're at a 150 megapixel camera.
Yeah, you're up there.
Yeah, you're in a nice car. But they have their pros and cons. They're big, and they have some issues within the lenses and how you're shooting. And
yeah, but it's another tool in the toolbox that you'll be able to use, because I'm sure that you've mastered the way that you use your Canon, and that's going to be good for certain instances. But you also have this now.
We brought it in. You'll start to see some new Sheetz fleet trucks around. These big, massive photos we shot, and we shot that on 150. And it was beautiful, but it was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
To have, we had a model on the floor covered in French fries. She had a crown, this massive crown of French fries. And here you are, hanging a $150,000 camera over her head.
Jesus.
But you're also then hanging a 10-pound or 15-pound camera
right over
this model's head. And you're just like, we don't use tripods. They're called camera stands.
Yeah.
These big, giant, stands. But you're like, it's on there very good, but
yeah,
shit.
Is it on there?
Yeah.
That's such like a, it got to be cool to be able to drive around and see your work, just pop up other places. And like you said, you've just been ripping since you were 13, and it's I don't know, it's like often people get caught up in like all the work that they're doing. And this is why I love doing this, because whenever people come over, like I just had Edgar over, and like this dude's 81, and he was just like, I love doing things like this because I love being able to like kind of go back and kind of unpack things that I'm thinking about, because I've been working full steam for this long. It's hard to like kind of stop and reflect on like all the stuff that you're doing. And that's interesting to think about. I'm trying,
and I've tried probably in the last, 4 or 5 years. I haven't slowed down. I just am very cautious of how my energy is used.
As you should be,
because it's more fun to party and go and play, and and I realized that every weekend I was either leaving town or I was going somewhere.
Yeah, you in Tulum,
Yeah, we go to Tulum quite a bit. Laundry stacks up. So, now it's a little bit of slowing down in a way, but speeding up and improving other ways. So in the business, we've changed how we produce. We run 2 to 3 sets now, as opposed to just one set.
At a time, you mean? 2 to 3 at a time, yeah.
Which is not unheard of. It's just for a team of our size in New York City or another major city, you'd have double or triple the team. How
many people did you say you had in there?
Yes, I think we range between 5 and 6.
Okay.
On our teams.
Yeah.
And then, when you have other clients, Sheetz might bring in 10.
They're bringing all their
Primanti
people.
Brothers brings in, Sarris sends 3 or 4 people. So it adds up to be, enough people in the room.
There's a squad to produce a good product.
Yeah. Which is, and sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need, when we've had clients ask us, so there's, obviously there's agency side. So you have our clients, sometimes they're the agency. So they're the stepping stone between us and the client. And we have no direct contact. And sometimes it's 2 clients directly. Sometimes it's only agency. And we had a client a couple of years ago ask me, and they're a huge client. They asked why they had the agency, or because the agency wasn't coming to the shoot anymore. It wasn't their job. It was okay, And the client asked me, do we need to have this agency?
Yeah.
And I said, well, you can answer your own question. It's not up to me.
Yeah.
If you will be responsible to us while we're shooting, the shoot can't stop. I don't care if your coffee spilled all over your car. We can't stop.
Yeah.
It's dead set is very expensive. If you'll be responsible to us and be engaged with us all day, And they love that. And now the whole team absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
Because they're actually more engaged with the product than they were before.
Yeah, because you're not one level removed.
Exactly.
That's so interesting to think about that. Do you, since you've been working with like some of the same people for a long time, do you get some sort of like creative freedom over that time? Does that build up?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Again, like I said, they don't want to do more work.
Yeah.
They all have a ton of work on their plate.
And if they could rely on you to produce something great, and obviously over the years that you're getting set like an equalizer, and you kind of know what they want and what kind of things that they want.
A lot of clients now, it ranges from being very present to almost not present. Because they know they can hand it off to us, and we're going to deliver the same thing every time, even better, pushing it. We're going to push it for them. Yeah. They don't have to come to us and be like, "Hey, you're getting stale here."
That makes sense.
That's also part of our job now.
They know you're going that extra 20%, like you said.
But that is the job now. Yeah, we can produce it, we can make it, we can shoot it, we can make anything you want. But it kind of falls on us to keep pushing the look. Yeah, which is what I think that when you asked me earlier about if there was other shooters, at where we are now, when I was younger, there was, like I said, about 4 people. And, I was a young little asshole coming up at them. And I think I learned from that is that you have to be aware of what's around you. The industry, aware of trends, aware of what's going on. And then also not just aware, but be okay to set them and push it. Yeah. And that's scary sometimes. That can be scary to a client. You're like, hey, here's this idea. But it can't be something that's so trendy that it's just a fad or like, everybody right now is really obsessed with that kind of a very bright light, flashy look, which kind of feels like an old Polaroid or something. Yeah. So we have clients that want that. We have clients that want a big, soft, natural daylight look, or they want twinkling stars in the back and glowing faces, or those are the fun things now. Yeah. Is using the tools that we have, the lighting modifiers, all this gear. To play with and kind of romanticize the photos, make them more, not just. Yeah, because like if a company is like, oh, we want twinkling lights in the background, it's your job to not accentuate, but like kind of just provide the creative. Oh, they tell me now that I'm going to hate them. They text me and be like, Adam, you're going to hate us. I'm like, oh God, what now? And they're like, we want twinkling lights in the background. We want a glowing fire, and we want a harsh front light. and I mean, like, but for them, my head is immediately okay. We're building a fire. There's never a no. Yeah. It's just like how you're going to accomplish what they want, and you're pretty crafty at it, and then do it better. Years. Yeah. Oh yeah, we rent houses. We overnight ship things. We drive to get things, build it, paint it, make it, commission it. That's awesome. Whatever it takes. It's got to be just fun, I mean, it got to be just fun it's chaos, I'm sure, but it got to be, in that chaos, it's fun. Knowing you can, it's like being a good prostitute, knowing you can put out is at some point and some reason satisfying, right? Like, you're good at your job. Yeah. You make people happy. They leave extra happy, Yeah. That is... That's a good point. I like it. Yeah, like you know that you can do it, put out, and then do more with it. When that's the exciting part. It took me years to build the business and do all that kind of stuff, and now, like I said, that is the fun part. Is I know that when they send me, and after the end, I'll show you what a client sent us. It's really funny. They send us these crazy ideas, and they're just circus animals and this, and it's always more, And the fun thing is when you not only nail it, but then like the whole room goes silent. Goes, oh, yeah. That's what kind of makes it. That's awesome. Now, obviously, there's great instances like that, but what about any bad ones? Do you ever have like a whole shoot that you do where clients are like, "I'm not really happy with this"? No. Yeah, I mean, like I guess they kind of like make it so you can't. You can't derail. They stop it before it gets derailed. We won't let it derail, and they won't. If the shit's hitting the fan, yeah. It's probably because something's not melting right or something's not. We can make anything happen on camera. Yeah. Whatever you want. So that, for Sarris, we built a jungle in the studio for their dyno release. Oh, wow. We had literally a smoke smoggy jungle in the studio.
You can just do it all, huh? Now, for you to like, create these different things and create these different like environments, and whenever you're working with people, it's like, did you ever? You said you never had to advertise.
No. I mean, I guess Instagram is advertising, but
yeah, but like I
don't know that even now. Like, I don't post something trying to get a client.
Yeah,
that's not the goal. At this point, I want to enjoy actually looking at my own feed and. Hopefully one day,
what's real about
I have if Alzheimer's or something, you look back and you remember your life, but it's not necessarily used as a form of advertising.
Well, how do you progress? You always say like, or I say you always say, but you said,
oh, we're friends now.
Yeah, we're friends now for sure. But you said like, you got to be aware of the trends. You got to be aware of like the styles and everything. How do you, further your knowledge on that, on how to execute that the right way?
I think that is...
Are you a big consumer of social media?
Yes and no. I really, like I said earlier, I value my time a whole lot more now.
Yeah.
I put my phone down a whole lot more than I used to. I actually noticed this, like I said, Justin and I used to travel a lot, Severino, and, we go to New York, and I look back on my feed from years ago, and it would be every meal, every plate was a post. And I just looked, we were in New York for, 4 or 5 days. And I had posted one picture, and it was an abstract picture from the top of the Met.
Yeah,
didn't even really.
Yeah, it's weird how I don't post shit anymore. Really,
I think again, maybe I should.
Well, the reason I asked you that is not even more necessarily you being a fan of social media, but as basically a business end of it all.
I collect ceramics as a hobby.
Okay,
which like I said, I'm very bad at hobbies not being careers.
Yeah.
So I'm working very hard to make that not a career. But I'll use that as a reference that I watch it so closely. I watch the whole world of ceramics.
Yeah.
I know glazes and how they fire and build and all these different things. So you see enough of it and you kind of have an you can see the bubble.
Yeah.
You can step back a little bit and see the big picture. And I think in photography, like, I don't go look at competitors' work. I don't look at magazines. I don't go buy something. Like, it doesn't cross my brain to do that.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a responsibility that watching the trends that I think you're aware of. How is McDonald's shooting? How is this being done? Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Do we like that or not like that? I think that's having those conversations with yourself and analyzing.
Yeah, and analyzing what you like about it and what you don't like about it and applying it to your product.
Because a client will come to us and say they want something a certain way, and they're still my client. I highly respect them for what they want. But I might, I definitely, before I give any opinions back, I run the brand's whole life through my head to make sure that I'm not being a stubborn asshole.
Yeah.
But I might be like, this, maybe we try this lighting, or maybe... instead of it being in a sandwich and a drink and a fries, maybe we try it in this way to help your layout. Or, I think that has helped push images, by being informed.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people have opinions.
Yeah.
And the world these days, social media and Facebook has given everybody an opinion on everything.
Yeah.
But, you don't always have to have an opinion.
For sure. I love it. That's you got to cut that out and post it everywhere because that's the truth. It's now for you to keep progressing at what you are. Obviously, you're killing it. But what is what are some of your goals for what you're doing? You said that you're being conscious of your time lately more, and obviously the goal is to pay your bills by doing what you love. But eventually.
Thinking about that, we've not gone into video yet.
Video.
We do not do any video. We do it here and there very lightly. But it's something that has always been at our door. And everyone's like, do you do video? And my answer has been no, because until we do it as good as we do our photography, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming that I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
There's things I like about it. That would be like, I would love, the cheese pool, like you discussed, the screwed down, that perfect cheese pool.
Yeah.
Yes. In video, you're going to get that gorgeous steam coming off. You're going to get that more, telling that story more.
Yeah.
That is also a different audience and a result that I'm necessarily interested in. but we definitely keep it in mind as far as what clients want. But then when you look at so right now we do almost no retouching of our photos.
What does that mean?
So most people, in camera, you shoot it, and you go back and you adjust the background, you adjust the, every layer of the photo. You can go in and completely rebuild it. Where I found that I was spending a lot of time either doing that or communicating to someone who worked for me what we wanted to do, and it seemed like a better solution just to do it in camera.
Like make the product
perfect off camera,
how it needs to be.
Yep. So the file. A lot of people will say, well, we'll get you your file in 2 weeks, so we're going to retouch it. I generally, by the time that we're walking out of the studio, files are done and uploaded and gone. The bill can go out next day.
Yeah.
Which has been that was a very streamlined thing that I chose, probably because I wanted to go out to the country instead of sit in my studio all weekend and edit. I'd rather go out and do things or be out with my dog than sitting there going through 6,000 photos of which one do we like better. So even as we're shooting, we're tagging photos. So
yeah. And like flagging what's good, what's not. How many, you might not know this, but like your Sheetz shoot that you just did, like what's a ballpark number of how many frames you shoot for that?
So we shoot very clean.
Yeah.
Just because if we didn't, we have massive server systems right now. I think we're running around 100 terabytes.
Wow.
And we're almost half full. If you don't shoot clean, you just have all these extra dead files.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to we shoot these milkshakes every shoot, then we shoot some collateral that goes with them. We might only shoot a total of 30 frames.
Okay, yeah. So that's why I was asking. Like you're quality over quantity.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Yeah.
The only reason to shoot more is to adjust our lighting and the styling.
Yeah, and you also have to be able to do what you're doing, you're not at a live event where you're like on the fly and you're just like, I need to get as many as I can where I could source out a great one.
So that gets countered by when we have a model on set.
Yeah.
When there's a model, we shoot a lot more.
Yeah.
We might shoot 1,000 frames if there's a model on set because, half of those frames, maybe her eyes are closed or half the other frames don't work for layouts.
Yeah.
Or, so you're shooting extra to get. Then we also use those kind of B-roll images in social media and animations and things.
That's interesting.
But we keep it very clean.
Yeah,
there is no
why
risk.
wouldn't you?
You're only costing. The servers are not going to get any cheaper, and clients don't exactly say, "Hey, well, here's some money this year for our server space."
I just think it would be a pain in the ass if you had 2,000 photos that you're scrolling through every single one.
You can't.
Yeah, I feel like it would be maddening because
we're like I said, we're tagging immediately, and then if any of the design directors are around, I have them go through and tag photos. If it's those kind of things where, if it's Sarris, the end shot is your shot. You worked up to the 50 frames leading up to it.
Yeah, the 48th and the 49th frame, and the 50th one is like what you're looking at.
That's what you're keeping.
Yeah.
And then we call it stacking. So you shoot different levels of focus if you want to. But some clients want a very, very, very blurry background and don't care what's in focus.
Yeah, to highlight the product.
Yeah. Some want everything in focus front to back. And they might go in and put the Pepsi back in. A lot of times Pepsi or Coke's paying for the shoot.
Yeah.
So they might go back in and put that in focus in the back or change it out for a Mountain Dew or something.
What is the funnest shoot that you've done?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Because it sounded like the Sarris one is cool, so I can't even imagine what else you've done. Because I feel like, whenever you said, oh, yeah, I worked with like Nike and stuff like that, like I follow you on Instagram and I see, the stuff that you post, but I'm sure you don't post.
Yeah, we can't.
You post 1% of the shit that you're doing.
Yeah. And those were things. I worked on the Kevin Durant project. I worked on the Kobe Bryant project.
Yeah.
Those were cool. I'm not necessarily a shoe person. My partner has helped me make me a better shoe person, but so that doesn't necessarily blow me away. It's probably more the things that I'm proud that we nailed it and did more on it than the factor of who or what.
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
And maybe we did something new. There was, we did something. It's very funny. We did something new that I had never done before. And I talked to the team and I said, I'm going to post this on social media. We know that this is going to get knocked off. And that's okay. If we can help people grow.
You see people knocking off your shit?
Oh, constantly. Oh no, they knock off.
I love it.
They literally, and they will go. I mean, it's funny. They will go if there's a glass here and a fork here and a napkin here.
It's the same.
Same. I mean, the lighting's shit and everything's off, but yeah.
I mean, the lighting is shit.
But it looks like
Impersonation, the biggest form of flattery.
Oh, you can't care.
Yeah.
It takes no money out of my pocket. If that's how people learn, I chose to not learn that way.
Yeah.
I put a very big effort into never going. When I was growing,
yeah,
I made a very big effort not to go and look at my competitors.
1,000,000%.
Maybe not. Maybe that didn't behoove me. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but it got you to a place where you knew that it didn't. These other people weren't bleeding into your...
No, not at all.
You know that you're authentic in your own being. That's the same shit that I do with this. It's like, I don't listen to any other ones that are around here. Like, I just apply what I enjoyed to what I do with this. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to keep doing it until people start liking it. And they start liking it.
Or hating it, right?
Yeah, if they hate it, then it ain't for you.
I'm sure I've done things that people look at my work and go, what the hell? Was he stoned or was he drunk? What was it? But that has been a priority to keep. So I guess that got pretty far off. So
that's all right.
It literally is probably those results more than...
You don't ever shoot it on the top of your mind that you were like, this turned out perfectly.
They all do. They do.
That's fair.
That's our job. That's why we're paid. We're paid because it has to. There isn't a choice. It's not like this is like, oh, those pancakes came out well.
Yeah.
There wasn't a choice of them not to come out well.
Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. You speak wisdom for sure.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think it is on here. Now, for you to, kind of grow, you said you were saying like a little bit of video, you're...
So yeah, back to that kind of, you hit a ceiling at some point.
Yeah.
And the clients only pay so much.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, oh, you're Annie Leibovitz. Annie Leibovitz is paid about $200,000 a day to work. That's about what her day rate is. That's never going to happen within reason in food, so you have to, the business is fine. We are awesome.
Yeah.
But what is that growth next? And I think that's upping the quality.
Yeah.
That's giving people even more reasons. So a lot of our clients now fly in from all over the country. We do, Sheetz, but we probably do about 20,000 gas stations now.
Jesus.
So you see our work. Turkey Hill, Quickmart, Easy Go, Cumberland Farms, everywhere.
You can just do all this with a 6-person team?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
It's efficient. But it really, and I say this to our team that it's Pete and repeat.
Yeah.
Nothing we're doing is anything different than we've not done 20 times this year so far.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not, a fried sandwich. But
it takes years of you guys trying to figure shit out in the beginning to add that tool to your toolbox to be able to pull it out again. What's your mental like? Like with all this, are you like a control freak? Do you get like...
who isn't in this position?
I guess.
But you have to learn, yes, 100% control freak. But you have to learn how to let go.
Yeah.
I know 1,000 years ago I worked for Starbucks and I was I was young and a control freak and I was OCD and I wanted everything done perfectly and I did not understand why people were standing there on their phones or chatting about their weekend or just employees chatting about what they were doing. And I'm like, well, there's 11 customers here waiting.
Yeah.
So I didn't get that. An older Adam, much calmer. We're good. Nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
If it is, we can fix it. I'd rather empower the people around me.
Yeah. Why?
Let me be the one. Like, listen, if shit's going to hit the fan, I want it to be my fan
for sure, so
I can fix it. But I'd rather people do them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Would now for you to kind of have all these clients, do all these, do you ever feel that feeling of being burnout to where you're like, I need to take a break? But
no, I treat myself well to breaks.
Yeah.
In different ways.
That's good. Need to.
You have to. And it does, there are times in the summer where it's like, holy shit. And it gets to be times where we stack clients. There's a time where maybe, there's two clients sitting in the client lounge.
Yeah.
On different sets. Because this client has an emergency and has to get out, and we can't, so that happens. And those things, we don't try to do that very often, but those are times when you're like, you're maxed out.
Yeah.
But maxed out's different when I think that you're fine.
Yeah.
There's a mental exhaustion of like,
if you're always trying to catch up to like, pay your bills and stuff like that.
Different.
And you're hoping that like you only have 1 or 2 clients. We got to keep this client. We got to get this out.
Much different stress.
Yeah.
Our stress now is being at that level that we promise and more. And I think we've come to the systems where that happens.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I had to sit there and edit photos, maybe I'll be like, oh, I wish I'd retouched that, or if the client wants to retouch it, they can. If it's something major, we will if we have to. Something's really shit, we'll of course fix it. But I think it's getting those systems in play.
Yeah.
That we know.
Well, how does your do you have like a scheduler? Do you have an organizer? Mm-mm. Do you do a lot of that?
I do it all. Yep.
My goodness, you're a control freak.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
100%. But I learned that everybody on the team has different ways of learning, as does everybody.
Yeah.
And knowing what information they need. And it would be hard, as we get a little bigger, a producer would be lovely. And that's probably a next addition to the studio. But that person has to be so involved into every grain of it.
Every bit of it.
To know to keep it moving as fast as we do. Yeah,
because you guys know, like you know the ins and out of it. Like who is going to know more about it than you? So for you to communicate that to someone is going to hinder your abilities. Yep. Yeah.
And I don't spend my time editing photos. I don't spend my time doing, invoice stuff or billing stuff. I don't, there's a lot of things I don't do that I hand off.
You allocate your shit that you need to allocate.
I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's something like I can help the studio be more productive, I might be the highest paid one in the room, but I don't care if I'm mopping the floors.
Yeah.
If that's what we need to do to make the next day better, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So I guess you asked about the growth, and circle back again. It is a hard thing because when you've maxed out your days and all those, you're kind of against the wall. How do you grow? So at this point, I think we're probably going to end up with almost like a mini ice cream shop in the studio and a mini pizza shop.
A mini ice cream shop and a mini pizza shop.
Not actually shops, but we could put counters if we wanted to be fun. But essentially, we're designing specific shooting bays in the studio to be done for pizza and for ice cream.
Oh my God. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's so cool though.
It sounds more fun to say it that way though.
To build the set that you need that you're always going to use pretty much.
More the equipment. So we're going to build a walk-in freezer room, but instead of like a horrible, ugly walk-in, we're going to a glass room that's freezer room.
Because if you're going to do it, you might as well do it to where you could utilize it for work.
And we do, we shoot ice cream all year round. And in the winter, we will double up and open all the windows for 2 weeks and shoot 2 weeks of ice cream.
Yeah.
At 20 degrees.
Yeah.
You're freezing your ass off in the studio with hand warmers in your pockets and your shoes and your butt and everywhere.
Just trying to keep it together.
Keep it warm. So we do a lot of ice cream in the winter, but we shoot ice cream all year round. And we've just learned how to handle it so well that it kind of helps be approachable to a lot of national brands that don't have studios that are used to ice cream or specific things. And the same with pizza. We are, right now we shoot a couple of our pizza clients on location because of specific pizzas, ovens, which is funny. We have 2 kinds of ovens in the studio, and ours do almost just as good of a job, if not better.
They don't look as cool though.
No, exactly. They're on a big deck. They're on a big deck oven. So I think next we'll add on a deck oven. And with that, we just did this renovation last year where we added on 2,000 square feet, mostly for our power needs. We had maxed out our power grid.
Oh, okay.
Which is, the things, looking back to the 13-year-old Adam, I now own a full commercial kitchen. I worry about power grids and boxes and 3-phase systems.
Yeah.
And, all that shit that you never think's going to cross your mind. But it is now. So we did that renovation mostly for the power phases we needed for our kitchen upgrade.
Yeah.
Now we'll do another whole infrastructure grid for a deck pizza oven and the freezer room for pizza.
Where's your studio at?
By Bakery Square.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's cool. Now, for you to kind of want to like build all this stuff out and kind of keep growing in that way. It's like, do you have any plans of like, going like moving out somewhere else, like moving out of the city, things like that?
I think it's kind of like the evolution that has happened so far.
Yeah.
I don't, we're in the process of building a house, and it makes you think about a lot of things. Like, I don't know that this is like, people build houses as this is my house for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I might own that house for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
but
I'm not going to live there forever.
I hope to have several more of those around the country. We've discussed in the winter going to California for a few months.
Yeah.
Renting a house so we can shoot in. I just listened to your podcast with Christian from Russian Pounce. And and he's ready to get the hell out too. And I'm like, the cold does wear on you, but it's also, we have such lovely people here that I don't see myself ever being completely out.
Yeah.
But I think when I am here and we are here, that we'll be working the most efficiently.
That makes sense.
And then grow to, who knows, and we packed up a truck and went across the country for a couple months in the winter. Who knows? But
yeah, who knows?
I think that in my head, I let that be kind of open-minded. I have too much shit to ever leave town completely, but
yeah. No, I mean, like, do you foresee yourself, like, are you someone that like I always feel like I got to be working. I kind of get like stir crazy if I'm just like sitting around. Are you kind of that same way?
Yeah, my partner would tell you that too, that I definitely don't sit down very much. I think that comes with being a business owner, is that I've gotten better about shutting it off.
Yeah.
But you're always considering what needs done.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a big list person, but lists have helped me look at a list and be like, okay, I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
It's okay to lay around and do nothing, which I don't do very often, but I think it's, so the answer is no.
Yeah.
I don't sit down very often.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating what you do. Like, I don't know why I had a completely different,
this is why I told you to come visit.
I know, and I wish that I could have, but you
have to.
You have such a good, you have such a good work environment there. You guys are out of the studio by the time I'm out of work.
Yeah.
Like,
we have great Wi-Fi and a great client lounge. You can come hang one day.
I wish that I worked remote. I work in an office.
Oh God.
I've never worked remote, but I work for a small company. There's like 6-7 people.
They need you there.
That's my full time.
Yeah.
But this is like a goal. This is a goal to be able
come
to,
on a weekend. We'll do a little party. You can come.
Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be good. Because I would love to see it. I mean, it's insane. The things that you do put on there, and it just seems like a fun, interesting, exciting, more than anything job. It seems exciting.
Never, and it's funny. People get interested in the studio for many different reasons. A lot of people will come in and go to the prop room and be like, oh my God, this is like Williams Sonoma, Crate and Barrel. All of them are in one.
Oh, I guess you would have just a room full of just tables and props and shit.
Oh, we have.
I can't even imagine.
It's about 1,000 square feet.
Wow.
We have probably 500 or 600 glasses, probably 500 or 600 plates.
Yeah.
Every color, shape.
Where do you think you got your taste from? Like, in your eye for, things that look good? I mean, it's so wild to think that you lived out in the sticks and you were raising goats at a 4-H. I would have just never expected that.
I don't know where.
When you were younger, were you wearing like the cow?
I wore crazy shit.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, and then my parents my mother, she'll listen to this. I'm like, how were you shocked that I was gay when I was in, crazy pink fluorescent shirt with a neon green fanny pack and
love it.
And Saved by the Bell looking opening shorts.
Yeah.
And I dressed myself. I was always and she laughs about that I was definitely, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to wear. In the summer, I wore shorts and cowboy boots or hunter boots, the hunter boots. I was, for some reason, convinced that I looked really sexy in that at, 6 or 7, that there I am walking around in shorts and hunter boots.
That's the best.
So I don't know, so I don't know where it came from. I guess, working in paint and trends, we did all the trend castings, and, I don't know if it's just seeing a lot of things or caring a lot about design, or, it trickles into all parts of life, my life,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
It's definitely interesting. And, I'm definitely going to come down and check it out, because it's cool. Now, I mean, do you think that there's anything I forgot about the photography end of what you do? I mean, are you ready for the ending segment?
Oh, damn. I heard, Well, I've listened to Rick's. I was thinking about
Everyone got to do it.
I have photographed Rick Seaback several times in the Sally Wiggin. So I went back and listened to Athena's. So I went back and listened to theirs, and I'm like, oh shit, I should be prepared for this. But
no one's ever prepared.
Yeah, all right, go for it.
Okay, everyone. The ending segment I do with everyone is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions. Okay, desert island questions. Whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island until they starve to death and die. And I'm going to kind of expand this a little bit because I have some more questions for you. So the first category, though, is 3 movies to take with you.
Yep, I knew that was going to start there. Death Becomes Her. I think I grew up with it on Cinemax.
Yeah.
Thinking it was the most...
Cinemax. I feel like that's the only place I've ever watched it was Cinemax.
Oh, I thought it was so dirty. I thought I was watching porn almost. It was definitely
what a movie. It's been so long since I've watched that.
It's just, it's a lot of people I like. Meryl Streep and good actors and actresses.
Absolutely.
That are just good people. I love their acting. And I think the timing, the styling, everything, what a great movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe it's because she shoots her with an elephant gun into a pond. But, I hope not.
That's a good one.
All right, that one. It just all goes away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
This is movies, huh? Sadly, it's not a movie, but I love watching The Crown. It's like my
I've heard that it's great, and I've heard everyone talk about it, and I've went to go start to watch it, but then I'll just go to something else. But
it's
pretty good.
It's slower. Yeah.
It's all right. I love a slow one.
It's a way. Like I said, I hated school, and it's amazing how much you learn about history from things like this.
Yeah.
That obviously it's not always correct, but
we think about how ridiculous school was and what you learned in school.
Oh yeah, let's put a 12-year-old in a chair and try to educate him.
Ridiculous.
It's like a puppy. You're trying to. Okay, let's try to.
So The Crown, I'll give you that whole series.
Okay. We need another one. I don't know. This would not have come to the top of my head, but I just bought it a few months ago. It's a mad world.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Old movie with tons of old celebrities at the time, and it's about a guy that runs off the road in the desert, and all these people are following him, and he runs off the road out in Arizona or whatever, and dies. He goes down to the car. The car runs off the mountain. He goes down, and he's dying down there, and all these people run down. Ethel Merman and a bunch of people.
Wow!
And all these people run down to talk to him and save him. He dies. The police are coming, and it starts. He told them where this money is buried. In California. I don't know. It probably is the 50s.
Sounds like Rat Race.
It is something like that. It's a mad.
They probably got the idea off that.
One of them came, and it's just all these celebrities that do things you could never film nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just old.
It's different times.
Yeah.
Okay, those are 3 good ones.
All right, there's that. Yeah.
The second category, I usually ask people 3 books, but I have. Yeah. Okay, so I need to know.
I've not read 3 books in my life.
Never, not 3 books in your life. I was never a crazy reader. I need to read more though.
I'm envious of people. They look so beautiful and peaceful sitting there.
It's hard.
I'm like, I just want a beer and go outside.
It's like I try to do it, but I find myself my mind wanders and I got to read the same page over and over again. Yeah, and you're just like, this is a waste. Even listening, I could listen to a podcast, but if I listen to a book, it's the same thing. I
drive your car off the road.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, what are your 3 favorite restaurants in the city to eat at?
Not just because they're friends, but that helps. Morcia is one of my. I just shot them, and obviously I've been with Justin and his wife for 1,000 years, and all of them. It's just consistently not only good, but improving and different.
I think you're probably the 10th person who've mentioned it on here. If I ask them what's a great restaurant, and it's one that I haven't been to yet. I got to get down there.
Definitely. And I'm a bar person. It's rare to sit down on the table unless there's 4 people.
Yeah.
I love the interaction. The bartender sit there, do things. And they just recently reopened part of their dining room again. So we did a whole new shoot. So it used to be my Tuesday spot. I'd go and have dinner at the corner of the bar. Now we've moved out of Lawrenceville, so there's not there as much. But it's just constantly craveable. And I think that sometimes restaurants, you can add 1,000 ingredients or you can spend $1 million on it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the dish has to be craveable.
Yeah.
And, not everyone hits that. So I think my restaurants tend to be places that are things that I was actually just going to text the owner of Big Burrito. And recently they've been spot on. We had dinner at Altavia. We had dinner at Casbah. We had brunch at Altavia and then back at Mad Mex. And they were all just spot on. And that's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
When you're used to good food, but when you get it even better.
Yeah, consistency.
Dinner at Soba was amazing. That's a whole group. And they that group does a good job, as well as Rick DeChance restaurants. They do a fantastic job on their branding sides, the spaces, And I think we're missing that in Pittsburgh. In a lot of other cities, you have a lot of restaurant groups that are opening things, small or big. There might be tiny little bodega or hot dog shop or something.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of those in Pittsburgh. So we end up eating at the same kind of 10 places that we just kind of mentioned for those reasons. We do, I definitely try to get out and explore places I don't go to.
Yeah.
Not because they're not good. They're just kind of out of my realm of my circle of
that makes sense.
Daily life.
Yeah, I mean, if you got good friends that make great food that you love, why not?
Yeah, so Mosia, the Rick DeChance restaurants, Soba was great last week.
I've never been to that one yet. I got to go.
So was great.
Yeah, I feel like that these are places that I just went to Pusides for the first time like 4 months ago.
So I've been eating there. I have had my apartment in Lawrenceville for 12 years.
Wow.
So when Pusides Garden
was the small, I've never been there.
It was a tiny, tiny little
I hear that it was
house.
like a different world.
Oh yeah, and the outdoor garden was like a real garden. It was like the Pusidi herself went out and watered.
Yeah.
Those were the days I actually tried to read a book. And I remember on a Sunday taking a bottle of wine and a book.
Ugh,
to go
how
over
can you
there.
even do that?
Oh God, I almost fell asleep in my food. I'm
immediately.
Like, is it the red wine or the book? I can't tell.
You did it for the art.
Oh, I did it because I wanted someone to think I was cute sitting there reading a book.
This artistic guy over here.
Yeah, reading a book and falling asleep. But Pusides has done a beautiful job, and we've watched them. It's literally across the street from my bedroom, so I've watched it grow, change, rebuild.
Yeah.
We just reshot it for a magazine in DC.
I was
delicious.
That's the last place that I went where I just their soup,
Tom Kha.
Oh my God, absolutely insane. When you said the craveable thing, it was like that soup I could do all the time.
You have to hit those little people forget that. You can be as fancy as you want. You can do but you want people to leave remembering something, and the next morning remember it and go back for that.
Oh yeah.
Well, next across the street is the wine mixer, the Allegheny wine mixer, which is amazing.
Yeah. There's food there?
Yeah, so they have it's perfect. They have a little charcuterie program. You can get some cheeses. So if you want what we would do is if we go to Pusides Garden, and it's impossible to get in.
Yeah.
But if you go at the right times, the bar clears out.
Yeah, you can sit at the bar.
Oh, shit, now I just said this.
Yeah.
I just said that. Now
well, the last 2 times that I've been there, people have went to go sit in the bar, and it's always been busy.
Yeah. So, but if you live across the street,
yeah, you could pop in and
you either go back home for another drink.
Yeah, you're not worried about it.
Or go to the
I'm driving 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm going to be salty about it.
Or you go to the wine mixer and you're like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to have charcuterie.
Yeah, I never heard about that. The wine mixer. I'm going to have to check that out.
That opened up around the same time as Cure opened, and it made the street fantastic because that street went from having almost nothing.
Yeah.
Pusides Garden, but no bar.
Yeah.
There wasn't a bar, any bar programs to that. It was awesome.
I'm not like a cocktail guy. I don't really ever drink, but I had a drink at Pusides. It was amazing. Couldn't even tell there was alcohol in it, but definitely got you lit up. But I like trying all the NA drinks around.
Yeah. It's very popular right now. And you have Seed Lip, which is getting really big. It's the faux alcohol that's distilled similar. It's called Seed Lip.
Yeah, I've never heard about that yet. I mean, like any of the drinks that not even necessarily like the non-alcoholic, liquors or whatever that they have, but Pusides had it was like a coconut milk with like some citrus in it, and it was just like
I add vodka to that.
Yeah,
I ordered that, and I'm like, I'll have that. It has it's delicious coconut milk and
I can't remember what it was called.
Saline and
all this wild stuff.
That's actually Maggie's Farm.
Oh yeah, people have told me I got to get on there. I have had their it's called the Painkiller.
Oh, of course, yep.
Oh, that's delicious.
They do
dangerous,
do a fantastic product. And in the summer, it's easy to stop by and pick up a case of them or a pack of them and
I know. That's the reason that I got into like, interviewing some of these like breweries around here, because like personally, I probably had 20 beers in my life, before I started to kind of research, and I still don't drink a lot. Never really did. But I feel like I'm not taking advantage of like all these great people around here. But whenever I talk to them, I don't want to just be, someone who doesn't drink or have any experience in this. I want to be able to like talk to them in a way about what I like about their stuff. And, that's kind of like how I kind of put myself through school, I guess, with what we have around here. But Maggie's Farm, I'm going to have to get them on for sure, because people have mentioned them multiple times.
For beers, the Brew Gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with them for years, and they've done a beautiful job. Their beers, and back to that craveability, my partner Marcus and I were just discussing beers, and that, people...
I just bought their General for the half-ass beer share the other day.
So good, so drinkable.
I just bought it. I bought that literally on Sunday.
I was with them when they invented that and made came up with it. And
absolutely delicious.
It's drinkable. It's so drinkable that it's not... people, you can design the weirdest beer in the world, the funkiest. Same with wines. Remember, we all went through the time we drank sludge, and they called it, you call it what you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to sales, and then sales is making people happy. You want people to crave that wine and
absolutely
buy it for they couldn't get enough because it was so funky and weird in the current trend.
Yeah, crave. That's where the full circle. That's where we went on this tangent. But yeah, things got to be craveable. Okay, third category: 3 CDs to take on a desert island. Very curious.
It's funny. I listened to Christian, and he mentioned Dead Can Dance. And I'm like, I used to jam out to them. Not one I would take on, but I was like, that made me think of like Thievery Corporation.
Thievery Corporation
is my jam. We listened to it. It's down-tempo house. Came out years ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if it's called down-tempo house anymore, but once you hear one of their songs, you'll have heard it in the background of songs. You'll have heard it. I've seen them live a few times.
Thievery Corporation.
They're pretty big.
Okay. That shows you how much I follow along.
Well, I think so. Music, I cross all genres.
I was just never. I was never like a house music or like a dance type of music. I was more like dubstep.
Yep.
Like if it was any sort of electronic, it was like more dubstep typey.
We all went through that time.
Oh yeah.
You were okay going home.
Yeah.
Sweaty and smelling like cigarettes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sweaty and smelling like cigarettes. That's the funniest.
It is funny that music is so. It crosses so many paths in my life because we're constantly playing music in the studio.
Yeah.
And you can either sink the mood or be killer with it.
Yeah.
And,
having that aux cord is some power. So you could either, sink or swim.
Yeah, right? Yeah. People are like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, we listen to a station, like, oh, I love this station. And then 2 songs. What the hell is this? I'm like, it's the same station. You just love two songs.
I know. I got a tattoo the other day, and we were sitting there for like 2.5 hours, and every single time, every song kept getting better and better and better. And I was like, what the fuck are you listening to? And it was just, I think it was called like 90s and 2000s alternative rock or something. It was playing Bush, Glycerin.
Very comforting.
Yeah. You can't beat that really, but it was just so good because we didn't have to skip anything.
Yep.
That's good. Okay.
So Thievery Corporation, I would take definitely a Madonna Confessions tour when she was still good.
Okay. When she was still good.
No opinions there,
She's a wild one now.
Oh boy. That for sure. And then, thinking back to CDs, like I had Creed. And
what was the first CD you got?
3 Doors Down.
3 Doors Down? Kryptonite?
Kryptonite.
Come on now. Let's go.
That is my jam.
Yeah, if you still put... where were we at that it was just on? I can't remember... It might have been at Oak Hill Post.
Yeah.
It might have been blasting at Oak Hill Post.
You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong with a little Kryptonite in there.
That opener? Yeah. With that and Incubus,
yeah.
Morning View.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm watching Beef currently on Netflix, and Steven Yeun, he sings Drive and Incubus, and you're just like, God, Incubus, like what a fucking great band.
They're coming to town.
When?
We're giving them free advertising.
Yeah, we are. Incubus, if you're listening, you're welcome.
Yeah,
give us some tickets.
Free fucking tickets.
I don't know. I got to look it up.
Maybe? Yeah, it's coming.
I got to look it up.
I was talking to Marcus, my partner, and I'm like, what do you think? Like,
I've never seen them live. I would love to.
We're going to Colorado, I guess, in about 3 weeks to see Rodrigo y Gabriela. They're a Mexican band. We've seen them live a few times. We're going to see them live at Red Rocks.
Oh, that'll be incredible.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that'll be a great time. Red Rocks was amazing. We got to go back out there for sure. Okay, you picked 3, right?
Yep.
Okay. Third to last question is something called the death row meal. Death row meal is, you ever read them articles? People get put to death. They get whatever they want before. What would yours be if you got an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert?
Boy, that's hard.
And if you could be specific,
Oh, yeah. I can probably give you a picture of it I took. That goes, I obviously love food, and I love trashy food and high-end food.
Yeah.
Much like music, so that could go from caviar to a
for sure
pickle brine fried sandwich.
That's even more high end. I'm thinking of fried pickle, Sheetz fried pickle.
Oh, those things are good. So what's funny is I buy my gas from Sheetz, and we do, even before they were our client, we heavily supported them. We're big hot dog people.
Hot dogs,
fucking love them. Oh,
me and my wife were just saying we should make some chili cheese hot dogs. And she was like, "Where's there around here?" Because I told her, I was like, "I'm craving the Brighton hot dog shop."
Yeah,
and we don't live over there anymore, so we were like, we just have to make them. There's not really a good hot dog spot around here.
Yeah, there's not.
If I had to pick, it would probably be Dairy Queen's the only place we can go to around here.
We have in the city. We have D's 6-pack.
Yeah. Out
of this world, go and you can get 10 of them and cut them in half, and
get all different ones,
half and half. Yeah. So I guess we have hot dogs, we have caviar and fried chicken.
That's
sandwich.
The best.
There we are.
I'm good with that.
All right, entree, huh? It goes back to some traveling and eating food. There's things that you're like, wow, that was so incredible that I want to eat it forever. And there's things that are like simple, small dish.
Yeah.
Justin had a veal cheek croquettes on the menu 1,000 years ago.
Oh, wow.
That comes to mind. Thinking of umami has these little tiny,
haven't been there yet either.
Little bite. There's so much you can just, lasagna, my God.
Yeah.
I'm not really,
lasagna, my God.
I'm not really a pasta person, probably because of having so many pasta clients eating so much pasta around.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, I lost a lot of weight doing low carbs. So I think that I was always a little afraid of carbs and letting myself indulge.
Yeah.
So if I was going to do it, it was going to be cake and not pasta.
It's slippery slope.
I've clearly now chosen both. So
now, what, I just had something else. Oh, yeah, dessert.
My food stylist, Anna, will be like, why didn't you say pumpkin pie? Pumpkin pie pisses me off.
Why?
I love it so much.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we get in the studio and Anna does work for Eden Park, so she'll bring home,
Oh, my goodness.
And it's just like, it's pumpkin pie, cheesecake.
Yeah.
We go to the cheesecake shoot, and I'm like, I'll take all the cheesecake.
Yeah, those are good answers. That's good answers for sure. What is, now this is another question. What is like the most memorable meal you've ever had anywhere else? Like, We
had a really good meal, actually, the day after the James Beard nominations came out. James Beard or one of those. We were at a restaurant in New York called La Coca, and we go there quite a bit. It's classic French, beautifully designed. If you saw the picture of the opening bar, everyone in the world who's a food blogger has posted this bar. It's hand painted, beautiful. And from start to finish that night, we had one of the most on point, beautiful, perfect meals.
That's good.
I don't know if they were extra hyped up from the James Beard or I think maybe it was Michelin. They just maintained their star, I think. So I'm not sure if they were just extra on point. They're always amazing, but
okay. La Cuckoo.
La Cuckoo.
I have to add it to the list.
It's famous for the show Inventing Anna.
I know of it. I didn't watch it though.
Netflix, whatever. She was a kind of an art dealer, swindler. Kind of got in trouble. Now she's back. We were there actually. She did a lot of her business. Yeah. From the hotel that's above La Cuckoo. And she was famous for being at that bar. And the funny thing is, I think the day that we were there, maybe this last trip, one before, she had just been released from prison.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, everyone's watching to see if Inventing Anna comes in to La Cuckoo. I guess now she's broke, so she can't. But
that's funny. Okay, second to last question, probably the most telling. If you're getting ready to go on a trip, you go into a gas station, what is a snack of choice?
I can tell you. So it's probably my car now. In the glove box, rotting. Chex Mex.
Chex Mix.
Traditional, but I like the poultry seasoning too. A
Wow.
little savory. And then so my mother just got me for my birthday, instead of a cake, she got me 2 packs of the Sheetz peanut butter no-bake cookies.
I've never had one. I always see him on the line in the line.
And the funny thing is, one of our Sheetz clients for my birthday also just brought me. She knows I love the peanut butter no-bake cookies.
Yeah. I'm going to get them now because I always see it all the time.
It's those, and then I do the pepperoni and
Cheese sticks?
cheese roll things. Yep.
Pepperoni and cheese rolls.
You get a little savory, you get a little like crunch, you get a little sweet, you know.
What is it, like the MTF fries? What is it?
No, it's just I sadly know they're in the first case when you walk in. They're like, you can get mozzarella.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah, why not?
A couple Coke Zeros and
That's good. A couple Coke Zeros.
couple orange Gatorade Zeros.
Okay, now the last question I ask everyone is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I forgot. I knew you were going to ask me this, and I should have thought about it. You know, I bet I would think going back, you know, there's at several parts of my life, I'd answer that question differently. Mm-hmm. Probably now, it'd probably be a grandparent.
Yeah. Well, if obviously a loved one would be an assumed answer, but
Yep.
if it's someone that you don't have any ties to,
You know, thinking about people like Maya Angelou, or people who maybe I have nothing or no reason to even have conversations with them, but just to talk to people who did something,
yeah,
who did it.
monumental.
Not necessarily because they blow me away or they're an icon in my life, but
Yeah.
more that, you know, you did something, and that's just an example of anybody, you know.
Yeah.
People who did things. I mean, think about people who did so much work before Instagram and digital and all those things. Like, to go back to the craft of what, you know, I do or what you do,
Yeah, why people did it whenever they just were passionate about
and
it.
have that kind of conversation as opposed to maybe someone in specific.
That's interesting to think about that. Before there was a world to cast it all out into, people that really just, you know.
I mean, imagine how much, you know, civilizations, this doesn't answer the question, but how much people did before we had all this.
Yeah.
You mean you can pretty much be or do anything you want nowadays?
Yeah.
And it's going to last for a little bit at least. But to go back to the days when, think of Henry Ford or people who like,
Yeah.
what
Westinghouse.
exactly,
People like
you
that.
know, what made you?
Yeah. That dude, we were just talking about that. Me and John from Odd Pittsburgh, you know, that dude could have been well off and not done a damn thing for the remainder of his life.
Yep.
But he was just like, he always was obsessed with figuring out how to take, you know, a geyser and manage it and utilize it. It's interesting.
And then he also supported the arts and did a lot of,
Yeah.
you know.
Just wanting to figure things out, though, and wanting to do things for the reason just to do it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk to people about what, you know, much like this conversation, what made you tick?
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to know that, you know, this is how you did X, Y things, but what in your head gave you the care and drive to do it?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers the question, but
I think it did. I think it did. Do you think that this experience did a good job at talking about why you do what you do?
Yeah, I guess. What do I do again? Remind me.
You take a photo here or there.
We've gone the full. Now I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, but I am fascinated by it. It's pretty incredible to hear. It's pretty impressive. Well, it is impressive. It's not just pretty impressive.
you.
It's impressive to hear what you kind of built through, you know, a whole lifetime. You know, it's cool to hear about you being entrepreneurial at a young age, and it's even more fascinating to hear about it growing up in the sticks. You know what I mean? Like that's an easy environment to kind of be complacent in and fall into the norm.
If you view it as the sticks,
Yeah.
it's what you view.
I guess,
You know,
but
like
I say it as the sticks, but as a negative connotation.
No, sure.
But that's like as a joke. But
Most
you know,
people around me didn't have the thoughts in my head, or not the drive. I'm not saying the drive, but they didn't have the.
to know that it's a possibility. You know, that's what I mean. It's simple. You know, and that usually is taken as a negative connotation too. But like, I have family that grew up right in Donegal. You know, they
of course.
have a farm, 60 acres, and like
I probably know exactly where it is.
100%. It's but it's like it's people. It's easy to be able to like kind of follow down that path. You know what I mean?
Well, then for years I avoided even going back.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go.
Your parents still live up there?
Yeah, my mother is still alive.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
As soon as you said that, I was like,
oh shit. My father has passed, so my mother is still in the area. Yep. So now when we go up, I love taking my partner up to living here and kind of showing him my old stomping grounds.
Yeah,
through much different light.
Yeah,
my memories are much different now than the roads I grew up on. It's nice being on the other side of it, but it took me a long time to appreciate going back, but I love it now.
For sure.
We love going to the local, kind of the local cheers where they know who we are and they ask where we've been.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
No matter what, you go in there and there's that same guy sitting on the same stool.
And you call and you say, hey, we're coming in and we got your seats for you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I do appreciate you coming over and talking to me. Before, take a second and promote anything you want to promote.
What is it to promote? I don't know.
I usually tell people to plug their brand or, their new shit that's coming out, but what can you plug? Look at the Sheetz
I should
billboards.
make some shirts. Yeah. Look at some Sheetz. Well, look at some Sheetz, look at some menus around. Think of us. Yeah, we'll be there.
What's do you have a business Instagram or is it just your personal one?
It's just mine, which is ADAM MILLIRON. I should have changed that years ago to make it easier, but
that's all right.
Smith would have been so much easier. And then our website is just ironmillstudios.com.
Iron Mill Studios. That's your company?
That's what the taxes call it. Yep.
Iron Mill Studio. And it's on tax day.
Yeah. Oh, it is tax day, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't bat your eye.
Thank you to Gina Levine, the accountant to Pittsburgh, for making sure today was very easy for me.
Yeah. Thank you for Delalo's for providing the charcuterie board.
Nosh. Yeah.
And my whole bottle of olive oil because I was out and that came in clutch.
Oh, everybody asked me, is there any olive oil? Any leftover? And I'm like, we still use that, right?
I know it really came into play. But yeah, I do appreciate you taking some time out to talk to me. And everyone else that's listening, appreciate it as usual. Each and every week, back with another guest doing great things in the city. So thank you for listening. Call you right back.